Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Circle Time with the AECEO. My name is Rachel, and I will be your host today. If you enjoy this episode, please rate, review, and share it so that we can reach more ECEs and childcare workers. Today, on this special episode of Circle Time, the AECEO team is going to be sharing some of their stories of joy and love about the ECE sector. This episode is kind of our love letter to ECEs in honor of Valentine's Day. Now, when I was recording all of these sound bites with everyone, I just had my heart swell because these stories are so indicative of a field of people who love their work and care so much about each other. So, thank you and happy Valentine's Day to all the people who make this work possible.
My name is Sue Parker. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the admin and membership coordinator at the Association of Early Childhood Educators Ontario. I've helped to support ECEs over the years who've called or emailed with questions, issues they're dealing with, who are in need of help or information or support. I feel privileged to work with and help to support early childhood educators in Ontario. I'm constantly in awe of their knowledge and their compassion for the children and families they work with. So I'm happy to stay in this field as long as possible.
So, my name is Rachel. My pronouns are she, her, and I work as the membership coordinator and policy analyst at the AECEO. A story that I want to share today has to do with my experience of becoming a registered ECE after I finished school. School is always a stressful experience, and I think I sort of expected working in the field to be like that too. There were things that were stressful about it, but I just felt like I was welcomed into the field with so much love and care by my colleagues and my bosses and the families and children that I had the chance to work with. And of course, there's always going to be things about work and our jobs that are challenging. But if you're working as an ECE in the field or a childcare worker or in any capacity with young children and families, there is just this undercurrent of happiness and joy and brightness every single day. And I just feel so lucky to be able to do work where I'm surrounded by people who really get it and care about care. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
My name is Erin Philby, and I use she, her pronouns. I am one of the community organizers at the AECEO. I used to do family support work, and I worked in a program called the Pamatswin program. And it meant that it was a lot like an early on program, and it meant that I got to see whole families. And there is a certain amount of magic in that because you get to share moments with families. And probably my favorite moment of working, maybe of working in any career ever, was we had just done a workshop with families around making moccasins. And I was the person who was making the tea and making sure everybody had enough stuff. But after the workshop was over, one of the families that I was working with, they had a little person who was so close to being walking age, and his mama put his moccasins on and was holding him and helping him walk around. And she let go, and he wobble stood, and then she shimmied back a tiny bit, and he took probably 2 or 3 steps in his brand new moccasins and then grabbed her. It was one of those moments where she looked around in this, did you see that? Did you see that? And I was right there. And I got to give that energy back. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that energy back. Felt to me like the most important thing that I had ever done in a job, but certainly the biggest joy of being an early childhood educator were those moments of connection and of celebration.
Hi, my name is Jess Tomas. My pronouns are they, them, and I am one of the community organizers at the AECO. So one of my favorite moments as an ECE comes in a setting that is not really a typical early years setting. I volunteered with Camp Erin Toronto, which is an organization that offers a free weekend bereavement camp for youth who are grieving the death of a significant person in their lives. Most defining moments in my career as an ECE comes from being a camp counselor at Camp Erin. Being able to care for children in normal working hours is always such a blessing, and you can see the bond that is able to be created when you see children every day. It's a very different one when you are working 24 hours for 3 days in a row. And so I was able to see a different kind of bond, but one that also was meant to support a child at a very specific time in their life. It's so important for us to think of children as being able to process grief and understand death in a way that is appropriate for their age. To witness the transformation of children when they have perhaps been told to avoid those feelings. Unfortunately, in society, many times adults don't want children to be sad. So there's an inclination to distract them or offer other things that can make them happy. But given the chance to unpack their feelings with other children who know exactly what they're going through is truly life-changing. I'm a different person for having been able to witness the ability for community and care to repair such a deep wound in a lot of these children. And I know for a fact that many of them would say they've never met another child who perhaps lost someone. They've never met another child who was told that they could talk to them about it. So we were opening up communication lines that were also very new for these kids. And by the end of it, I am always so impressed that in the midst of turmoil, the way that play and the way that cooperation heals. But again, that experience as an ECE, being able to participate in Camp Erin, was one of the most fulfilling and life-informing experiences I've ever had.
My name is Amber Straker. My pronouns are she and her. And at the AECEO, I have the role of project coordinator. The main thing that always stuck out to me was the relationship that I had with the other ECE in the room with me. And a particular moment stands out so deeply. I'll never, ever forget it. I had taken over for another educator in the room. One of the ECs had moved on and I had filled that new space. And there was a child in the room who I think was very connected to that previous educator. And so they were not the most happy that there was a new teacher in the room, a new ECE. And we had kind of worked together to try and build a bit of a relationship. But on a particular day, that child was having a really hard time. And something that was really hard for me was to recognize that I maybe wasn't the best equipped to support. It felt really bad because I think as an EC, we always want to support children as much as we possibly can. And so to recognize that, like in the moment with that particular child, it's just not vibing correctly. I did what we call the switcheroo with my ECE colleague. It became a thing where we would sort of recognize like I'm over my head or maybe I'm not quite regulated enough. But it was a moment where we had to recognize I'm not the right person in the right moment. And so we would switch spots and say, you know, I've tried these strategies, I've tried the things that I know and it's not working. Can you help? Because for both of us, our main goal always was to care for the children in our room. And the fact that we were there together and always had each other's backs and just complemented each other with our skills, it was really collaborative. I hope that ECEs everywhere get to have that experience.
My name is Alana Powell. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the executive director at the Association of Early Childhood Educators, Ontario. One of my favorite moments as an ECE and mother, bringing my eldest daughter, Vera, to her childcare program for the first time. Of course, being an ECE and having worked in licensed childcare, I had a lot of trust and faith in childcare and in early childhood educators to begin with. But Vera started childcare during the pandemic, and that made things a little bit scarier. I remember we had been on a wait list for so long. She was in an unlicensed home childcare when the pandemic started. And then we got offered a space at a licensed childcare center that was just a little bit outside of our community. And I jumped on the moment, but I was still really nervous because I think a lot of the usual processes that you have when you're going to a new childcare program, we missed out on. I did get to do a tour of the environment, but I didn't get to meet her educators first. I didn't get to see the children in the program first. So it still felt there was a lot of nerves. I felt really nervous. Yeah, so it was a bit of a scary experience, but yeah, when I went in to drop her off the first day, I'll never forget this. I pulled into the parking lot. There was a table outside where they did health checks before they went into the childcare center. And so I dropped her off at this table outside of the childcare program to her educator the first day. I'm very emotional and empathetic person, and I'm gonna feel sad and all these feelings. So I was, just full of nerves and anticipation. And the early childhood educator was just so confident and warm and, got down on Vera's level and engaged her in something right away. And Vera's eyes lightened up. And I took this deep breath. Oh, she's fine. She's with an early childhood educator. There's no better place in the world for her to be than in this place right now. And it was such a relief.
My name is Patricia Borges Noguera. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the communications coordinator at the AECEO. Yeah, I found the best people that I've ever met were ECEs. I've had so many conversations with people who are in this field that have fully shaped me in decisions that I have made. I might feel uncertain, but one thing I'm always sure of is because I'm not alone, because I'm going to be with other people that know what it's like to do that work, who know what it's like to care for others in this way. I have people who have my back. So even it's like I don't feel alone.
Thank you so much for joining us for this special Valentine's episode of Circle Time. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider becoming a member. The link to join us will be in the episode description. Your membership makes a difference in the lives of ECEs and childcare workers, children, and families, and allows us to continue doing this work. To all the members who are currently supporting us, thank you so, so, so much. To all the ECEs and childcare workers who are listening, you are love, you deserve love, and you deserve to feel so good today and every day. So happy Valentine's Day from the AECEO.